Hello everyone, MeanSpeed here, and today I'm going to be doing a video on a guide for the tank. Now, I know this is very early days, but I have used this class a lot, definitely more so over the spotter. I've probably played, I don't know, like 3 hours of the tank, not even an hour on the spotter. So I thought I'd give you some information, my thoughts, and just put a guide of sorts together to hopefully help anyone out who might be struggling with this class, or if not, then I hope this was entertaining, if anything else. So, first of all, let's get to the weapons. So, the shotgun is your starting weapon. That's the one that you hold down when you spawn. It's pretty inaccurate. This is due to two reasons: the spread of it, but also the hitboxes being wonky at the moment. So, yeah, it can be quite difficult to land your shots, especially from longer ranges. The damage is pretty good, though. I've done 40 once, but it's not really a reliable enough weapon to justify that damage at the moment. Now, the rate of fire was actually changed. When it was used in the live stream, it was sort of like a moderate rate of fire, but now it fires a lot slower than that. So, yeah, that's another thing to know. And, yeah, it's basically only a weapon that you might want to use for a bit of a challenge, or if you're bored of the machine gun, or maybe if, say, you're losing a 1v1, and you need something quick, some quick high damage. You could maybe chance it by bringing out the shotgun, but it's up to you. But I mean, yeah, it does do a lot of damage up close, but you need to realize that right now, because of how the hitboxes are, it can be difficult to aim with it and to get off your shots. So yeah, it's definitely the most challenging and underpowered tank weapon at the moment. Now, the machine gun, on the other hand, is very accurate. It's very fast firing. It'll definitely be your main weapon in the game, at least until the shotgun gets fixed. So you've got, like a fair decision to make between the two. They're both close range weapons anyway, but you can't really go wrong with the machine gun. I mean, I've had good success using it in close range and moderate range, so I'd advise for you to do the same. The damage, it is very low from longer ranges, which doesn't really help because obviously the map is very wide open and large, but definitely try to pick fights wisely and fight in your best range, which is obviously up close. Now, the RPG, it has a lot of splash. It can be very lethal if you land a direct hit, and obviously if someone doesn't parachute, the full damage is very high in general, so they're going to take a lot of damage. Now, you might want to use this to open up a fight with. It's actually great for disrupting groups, and you can get a decent advantage over someone if you lead the fight with them being flown into the air, which sometimes they might not be expecting that, and it might throw them off a bit, and they might actually not even see where you are. So yeah, also rocket jumping is very important since you can get across the map pretty quickly. Of course, be aware of the full damage if you get too high up on the mountains, but using the map to your advantage with rocket jumping is definitely important. Also, be aware that you can stay on a roof and you won't actually fall off by default. So the only way to fall off is if you blow yourself off it, or if someone else, shoots you off it with an RPG. So it is possible to rocket jump and get a good view of what's below, and you can actually get some decent cover from some of the angles on the rooftops as well. So yeah, finally, I found rocket jumping to be pretty helpful in escaping from tough situations, and some people will struggle to catch up to you if you can pull off some good rocket jumps, and they might also struggle to hit you mid-air, once again because of the hitboxes, but it might also be because, well, it's just difficult. So now moving on to the talents, and this is in order of how they are on the bottom screen, on the HUD. So Blockade. Blockade is basically a shield that you can either hold down or place down. It's got a lot of health, so it can take quite a beating, and it has a number of uses. So if you decide to hold it out, know that you shouldn't be able to fire your weapon at the same time. So you're using it to shield yourself, but also your team by getting in front of them. And obviously you have to rely on them doing the shooting for you. But this is especially good in trying to initiate a push on certain flag points or just general areas of the action taking place. If you decide instead, though, you want to place it down, make sure you're using, the best possible places, you're getting the best possible use out of it. Since you can't pick the shield back up and move it again after placing it down, you've got to wait for the talent to, be ready again. So useful spots I've found include placing them near flags you're trying to capture to avoid taking some damage from afar, just to stay alive and actually raise it and capture it before you get the dome appear for actually capturing it, which will shield you. But also it can be beneficial to place it in sort of choke point areas to block people off, forcing them to find another route, or to spend some time destroying it, because it does take a while, especially if you're just on your own, such as the dam entrances and also under the bridge. Adrenaline is a highly useful team ability that allows both you and your teammates to gain a speed boost for a certain amount of time. Bear in mind though that while you get a speed boost instantly on use, your team doesn't. They actually have to stand over a field for a brief moment for the speed boost to take effect. Now this talent can be useful for getting your team out of a bad spot to escape. For example, in one game we were pushed into our back base, so we decided to use Adrenaline to quickly make our way around the enemy lines and capture flags to give us new spawn points and get us out of this situation. It's also useful in combination with rocket jumping, since you'll go slightly further if you combine the two, making you even more mobile around what is definitely a large map. I'd also advise using it to make yourself harder to hit in combination with your strafing, though once again this isn't as effective at this time due to the hitboxes, so you could still take a lot of damage even though you're moving around at a speed where you should be difficult to hit constantly. One of my favourites at this time, and one of my most used talents actually, Assault Armour. It gives you damage reduction, which is incredibly useful in dealing with full damage, which is, pretty high, but also in pretty much any fight where you feel you're outnumbered or being targeted by many people, like myself in every game. But yeah, it's also very good if your shield is on cooldown and you need something else to help you stay alive if you're trying to capture and stay on a point desperately on your own, and for any panic situations in a 1v1 and stuff like that where you feel you might need the damage reduction to deal with the fight if you're not winning it at that time. Now Meltdown, it allows you to absorb and deny explosives, and in turn you get ammo back for your weapons. Now while this does sound very useful, and it is, it's especially good to counter those tanks actually, using the strategy I mentioned with leading the fight with the RPG. Yeah, I mean, while it is useful, I've noticed not that many explosives get used overall. There are only 2 right now anyway, the grenade for the spotter and the RPG for the tank, with the grenade actually barely seeing any use at all, at least from what I've seen, probably due to its current throwing mechanics and area of effect. But yeah, in dealing with those tanks that just love their RPG, it's definitely useful, though I feel you won't be that amazed by the ammo you'll get back, since right now the ammo values are pretty high anyway, and you get it all back on respawning. And obviously there are other ways to get a lot of ammo back as well, such as the ammo crates for the flags, but also what I'm going to move on to now, which is supply, which can make you a very huge threat, since what it does is it gives you ammo back very quickly, so much so that for weapons like the machine gun, you actually have unlimited ammo for a certain amount of time, and you won't need to reload at all. This also makes the RPG more useful since you can fire shots off quicker than you could without the ability in use, which makes for great area denial, breaking up of groups, and also even higher and quicker advancements on rocket jumping. I'd recommend using this on the RPG if you haven't seen, if anyone hasn't seen you yet, especially if you're on higher ground so you can get a better chance of hitting or splashing enemies pretty quickly. But also with a machine gun, since there's no delay in the slightest and you can just keep firing, and you might find that more useful depending on what situation you're in, such as a fight where some of your teammates have died and it might be up to you to make the difference. And of course, waiting around to reload your most reliable weapon doesn't help in tough fights, so supply will definitely be very helpful to you. Finally, we have recoil bullets, which is a talent that automatically switches your weapon to your shotgun in order to deal more damage and to get massive knockback power. Now, because of how the shotgun is at the moment, like I said, you won't always find this useful, but from when I used it in the earlier testing stages of the game, the knockback was massive and even more insane than Shockwave, believe it or not. So if that still stands, because I haven't really had much chance to use it, yes, it can be a good way to break up a group and to use the map and your surroundings to your advantage by knocking people into houses or rocks and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, so general class information now. Basically, you do have the most health out of all the classes, but don't let that make you feel invincible. You can die pretty quickly in the game, and with some imbalance between a few abilities, you'll notice your health depleting pretty quickly. Make sure you stick with your team. I mean, I know this is obviously very early days. People just want to mess around, test stuff, not play for the objective, whatever. You know, I know a lot of people are still getting used to the map as well and all that, but you won't see everyone grouped together because of that. At least not straight away, but try to find at least 1 or 2 people to stick with, preferably at least one spotter, and you can't really go far wrong. Also, remember that there is a chat feature, so you can talk to people and arrange, you know, staying together and stuff like that. Also, yeah, make sure to use your talents wisely and effectively. And yeah, know that you're the up-close damage dealer, so try to avoid a lot of long-range fights. Either close the gap or let them come to you, but don't stay in one area far away from the enemy for long, since you'll notice a huge amount of damage drop-off on your weapons. But yeah, guys, that's about it. So if you have any of your own thoughts on the tank, then please comment them. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with another Renegade Lion Alpha video.